of all, like what is this approval process, right? So suppose, let's say I want to buy a product. Okay, so as a customer, I want to buy a product. I will buy the product. Okay, and before buying the product, you guys are aware, right? There is a quote process, right? Where we store all the amount information as to which what the customer is paying. Okay. Now let's assume that when the customer wants to purchase a product, he says that he is going to pay whatever 1,000 rupees for the product. Okay, that's the price. But the sales guy will say that no, it is 2,000 rupees, right? So there is some sort of a negotiation. Finally, if the salesperson agrees that okay, fine, let the customer buy this product for 1,500, remember that the sales guy cannot directly decide the price of the product, right? Because he has to go through some kind of an approval. He needs to get approval from the owner of the product, right? Like you yourself cannot decide. So for instance, let's say I'm working in Reliance store, right? And some customer will come to purchase TV, and the cost of the TV will be 50K. And I, as a sales guy, will tell the customer that this TV from Reliance, it costs 50K. Now the customer will say, hey, can you make it 40K? Now I cannot decide that, right? I as a sales guy cannot decide that, okay, you want 40K, fine, I'll give you for 40K. I cannot, right? It has to go through some approval. So what I will do as a sales guy, I will talk to my manager, right? And I'll ask him, see, this customer is ready to buy now only, so can you just approve this? So what the manager will say, okay, fine, I approve. So what is happening here? All this is happening in a physical world, right? Like, I mean, we are talking about all these approvals offline from the system. But tomorrow, if a company is going to use Salesforce as a system and there is a big client for us and many customers are buying the products and there has to be some discounts, it can go through some sort of an approval within the system automatically. Okay. And that is the approval process that we will be building using automation. Any questions on what do you mean by this approval process? Did you all understand what is this approval process before we go into how to build it?
Yes.
So let's try to now build this approval process. Okay. For that, I'll just log into Salesforce. I have to share my screen also. Okay, so let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To build the approval process, we go to approval process. Okay. Now in the approval process, I can select any object, right, to build the approval process on. So in the example that I just mentioned, we can just go with opportunity. For example, let's build a approval process on opportunity. And let me write the requirement here, right? So my requirement is okay. So my requirement is when opportunity amount gets greater than 1,000, then it has to be approved by two users. We can decide, okay, whoever users, A and B users. based on the requirement, right? Like we don't know. The requirement will come based on the business specifications and you can take. For now, we'll just assume this is A and B user in the system. And when opportunity amount gets greater than 1,000 rupees, the opportunity cannot be converted unless it is approved, right, by the user. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new approval process. And I'm going to call it as opportunity approval process. And I'll do next. So what is the criteria over here to go into the approval process? Amount. What is it, guys?
Greater than 1,000.
Greater than 1,000. Okay, and I'll do next. So basically to enter into the approval, this criteria should be met. Now this step, okay, is for, let's say the approver, I made it as Ayush, right? So if the amount is going greater than 1,000, that means Ayush should approve this opportunity. But let's assume for a moment that Ayush is not there in the, he's gone on leave, right? So can this opportunity be waiting till Ayush returns? Business does not work that way, right? Somebody has to approve it in absence of Ayush. So who is that approver is what this step decides. Understanding? If Ayush is not present in the system, who is the automated approver, then automatically, if Ayush is not present in the system, who should approve it? Right? We can decide that from this field, or we can say that Ayush's manager can approve it. Getting my point?
Automatically it takes another user.
Automatically it takes other user if we specify, or automatically it takes the manager of the actual approver. So till now we have not decided who the actual approver is, right?
Okay.
We have only decided who should be the if approver is absent, who should approve it. That is what this step is. Okay. So then I'll do next. If we want, we can create some email template and assign that email template over here saying that, okay, we have an email template now. So if the approver need, like, so suppose like opportunity amount is greater than 1,000. So if it is greater than 1,000, what will happen? It will go for approval.
Approved.
Right. Let's assume the approver is Ayush, right? Now how will Ayush know that he has to approve it? Right? He won't know unless notified. So there is a process here where you can notify the approver and say that there is a new opportunity in your bucket because this amount is exceeding 1,000. Please approve it, right? Like that, we can create an email template and give it over here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to select one dummy template. Okay, which Salesforce has already created. This one I'll just select a dummy one. And this template will be used for notifying Ayush. Okay. I'm just telling Ayush at the time being. Okay, it's not true yet because we have not decided the approver. The next thing is, what are all the things the approver should see at the time of approving the record? He should see the name, he should see the owner, the amount, right? The description. Like we can select based on the requirement, whatever it is, right? What the approver should see at the time of approval. He should see these fields and display the approval history. So whether whether approval happened or not, it was rejected, it was approved or not. Like how do we determine? You can check box this display approval history information. Okay. Once you do this, next. Now, this is a very important step, right? We are saying that it should be going for approval, but we are still not defining that who should be the submitter of this approval, right? Who should be able to submit anything for approval? That is the question here. Okay. So let me show you something before we decide this step. Okay. So if I go to, let's say, opportunity. And in this opportunity, you see there's a button, submit for approval, right? So the minute I click on submit for approval, then only this opportunity will go for approval. You're getting my point? If I don't click on this button, then it won't go for approval. So the question here is, who should be having the authority to submit this record where the opportunity amount is greater than 1000, right? Who should be able to submit this for approval? We can decide over here, either the creator of the opportunity, the owner, or who is it? Okay. And this depends upon the requirement, right? Like you as admins cannot decide this on your own. This comes as a question. Okay. Who should submit for approval? So opportunity owner, I am just selecting here as a example. So whoever is the owner of the opportunity, they have the authority to submit for approval. Then allow submitters to recall approval process. So suppose, let's say I submitted for approval now. Okay. Then I realized, oh, I have made a mistake. I submitted this opportunity where the amount is less than 1000. Now it's a mistake. Can I recall the submission? Yes, I can by checking this box. So this completes your steps for creating the approval process. Now, what is that one step that is actually missing here, as according to you guys? So far, we did 6 steps, right? Like, what do you think was the step that was not defined in this process? Hello. Are you all with me?
We have to add the users.
So, what step is missing in this approval process? Just think for 1 minute and tell me, right? We discussed what is approval process, right? And then we
Signing user,
assigning what?
user for approval.
So basically, we have not decided our approvers, right? Who is going
Yes.
to approve a record when the amount is greater than 1000? We have not decided at all, right? So that is what we are going to do next. So before we go to that step, review this definition. What all happened in this, right? The 6 steps that we defined are saved over here in this first box. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here and just read through this for 1 minute. Okay. So did you go through the steps? What we have defined so far? Okay, so I assume yes. Now the next thing is we want to add the approver, right? So how do we add the approver? So if you see over here, we have something called as approval steps. We have not defined this yet. So we will define an approval step and we will say that the first person who has to approve this record can be, let's assume that so manager has to approve this record. And we want the record to be approved if the amount is, we're going to define this again, greater than 1000, right? Because that was our requirement. And then we're going to do next. And here we will decide who the approver is, right? So who can be the approver? It can be decided by the submitter. Whoever submits the record, they can only decide who the approver should be. Or it can be the manager. This is something we did earlier also, right? The manager can approve the record, or we can assign a user manually. So in this case, I'll go ahead and assign a user manually. And I'll say that this user is Apoorva, right? But in this case, if there are two managers, then I'll assign two people to it, which is Akshay. So Akshay and Apoorva are the two managers who need to approve this record. While approving the record, there is a chance that, one may reject, one may approve, right? So what's going to happen? And all those questions will be there. So if you observe here, approve or reject based on the first response. So whoever responds first, right? Like suppose this record went to Apoorva and Akshay together, obviously, right? It went together. And first response Akshay did, and Akshay found that, okay, he approved the record. Then whatever decision Apoorva makes, it doesn't matter because it's on the first response. Okay. Require unanimous approval means if both has to approve. If Apoorva approves the record, that doesn't mean that the record is approved. Even Akshay has to approve it. If Akshay approves the record, it's not done. Apoorva also has to approve it. Now, if one approved and one rejected, that means it goes back to pending state. Okay. So I'm just going to say approve or reject based on the first response and do save. Okay. Now this is our first step. This is our first step. Like this, we can have many approver steps. You're getting my point? So our first approver would be Apoorva and Akshay, like basically Apoorva or Akshay, because it's based on the first response. Then I can add the next approval and say that, director approval. Then I can add another step, CEO approval. So like that, I can have as many steps as possible. Are you all clear?
When the situation will come, ma'am? I mean,
Which situation?
approving this process.
The situation will come when something needs to be approved, right? I gave you example of basic things, like the basic approval what you need in your life. Like suppose if you want to go out of the house in the middle of a night, right? Then you need to take approval from someone, right? That's a real incident. Now in the company, if I want you to get promoted tomorrow, right? To manager, then I cannot just give you a manager role. I need to discuss with my manager and get the approval from my manager to make you the manager, right? So all this is an outside world discussion, but in the system something like it needs to happen, right? And Salesforce is a system where you are selling products. There is a lot of pricing things that may happen. So I, as a sales guy, cannot just say, hey, you know what? Okay, you want to buy the product? Okay, fine. Pay me this much, you can buy it. No, it has to go through some approvals, right? And that's the approval process we are creating here. for my requirement that when opportunity for a product is costing greater than 1,000 rupees, then such opportunities need to be approved by a manager for court process. Understanding this?
Yes, yes.
So we have created one step only, but I'm just telling you that I don't have users in my system, right? Like I have only Apoorva and Akshay, 2 users in my system, but I'm sure you guys have created many users, right? So you can go and create many approval steps, as many as you want, okay? And now once I create this approval step, I'm going to activate it, okay? Now this approval process is active. All right, now it's time for me to test it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select one opportunity in the system. So let's say this is an opportunity. Let's just select another one. Okay, let's just select this one for instance, okay? So this opportunity has amount 75,000. So is it greater than 1,000? It is, right? So who is the owner of this record? It's Apoorva. Right. So as per our approval process, who can submit the opportunity for approval?
One Akshay.
Owner, right? So, and I am the owner. So I will now submit this record for approval. But let me show the thing which may not work first, right? So suppose if I make this 800, for instance, and save it, it's less than 1,000. Okay. And now I'll submit for approval and submit. So you see here, no applicable approval process was found. Why is this coming?
Because it should be greater than 1,000. It is less than
Because
1,000.
our criteria is not meeting only, right?
Yes.
So it will come like that, the error message. It won't even work. Now this value is greater than 1,000. So now if I submit for approval and say, please approve this opportunity. I'm just putting a comment as a submitter, right? I'm a sales guy and I have submitted this approval because I want to close my deal fast. Right. What is the work of the salespeople? They have to meet their targets. They have to meet their incentive for the month, right? So their work will be to keep on meeting all the goals and submitting it for approval. Now there are managers sitting at a higher position who will receive this record for approval. Okay. So how do we see that, right? So if you go to related list, ideally it should be here, but in the related list, we have not added. So if I want to modify anything on this page, where should I go? This is basic admin. Like I want to add something on this page, right? Like in the related list, I want to add something. Where should I go? Hmm? Hello. Hello. A very basic question I've asked, which is like first day or second day ka topic. I want to update something in my related list, or I want to add a new field on the here, right? Where should I go? Are you guys with me? Should I tell the answer?
Object.
The page layout, guys. We have to go to the page layout, right? Anything that you make a change on detail page or you want to add something in the related list, it's page layout, no? So if I've come here, I'll see related lists. Now in my related list, do I have something to monitor approval history? Yes, I do. So you see here, I can actually see approval history. Okay. So do I have approval history here? It is not showing me. So let me edit this page. Yeah, so here they have approval history. Save. So you see approval history. So what has happened here? Approval history was submitted by who? Can you all see this?
Opportunity of
Yeah, it was submitted by Apoorva. Now who has to approve it?
and approval.
So what is the status? It's pending.
Okay.
Right? So until Apoorva and Akshay, ideally you see this is not, I don't have user, that's why you're seeing the submitter and approver the same. But in ideal world, it would be Apoorva, the submitter, Akshay and somebody else like Ayush, the approver, right? So now I have to log in as either Ayush or Akshay and see like what is happening, right? So let's do that. I'll log in as Akshay. And basically, they will also get email notification, right? Right now, I don't have their email ID, so maybe, or let's see, I might have got also, who knows, because I have given my email ID here. Yeah, you see over here, I had created some dummy email template, correct? And both for Apoorva and Akshay, I have given my email ID only. So this email has come from Salesforce, understanding? Ideally, this email will be more like, please approve the record, right? But I put a dummy email template. Understanding this?
Yes.
Now I will log in as Akshay. So what Akshay need to do? He can either approve this record or he can reject the record. So let's see how that happens. Okay. So you see here items to approve. Yeah.
Yes.
So what can Akshay do here? Akshay can get into this record and check, oh, okay, what is that he has to approve, right? And then when he gets in here, okay, I cannot do this. Guess why? What is the problem here? Which object are we trying to approve? Opportunity, right? Which profile does Akshay belong to? I didn't show you guys that. Let me open it.
Which yes.
Okay. Which profile he belong to?
So since
Standard platform user. So can standard platform user open opportunity?
no
Which other object they cannot open?
and objects.
They can only manage account and
Correct.
only account.
So ideally, if he had access to it, he would have seen it. Okay. Since he does not have access, he cannot. So what I'll do now is I'll change Akshay's profile so that we can see it. Okay. So I just changed it to a Salesforce license so that, Akshay will be able to see opportunity to approve it. Yeah. So now you see there's items to approve and there's edge. This one. So So here he can approve, reject, or reassign the things. Okay. And this is how he reviews it, right? He can open this, he can check the opportunity, and if he feels like, yeah, everything is fine, he can come back here and he can approve the record or reject the record. So if I say approved, what's going to happen next? So over here, you see who approved this record? Akshay,
Akshay.
right? So it doesn't matter what Apoorva does now, right? Because why? Why it
We
doesn't
selected
matter?
that. We selected that.
Based on first approver.
Yeah.
So that is the approval process. Okay, now if I go back to opportunity as system admin, no action available because I don't have to do anything because of the first approval. Okay. Any questions in this approval process?
मैम वो अगर एब्सेंस रहा तो उसमें कैसे करेंगे वो बताया नहीं आपने.
क्या क्या क्या
अगर अक्षय एब्सेंट रहा तो फिर सेकंड पर्सन कैसे अप्रूव करेगा, मतलब वो.
आप बोल रहे हो कि अगर दोनों अप्रूव करेंगे तो क्या होगा?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, अगर एक जन एब्सेंट रहा तो मैनेजर.
एग्जैक्टली अगर एक पर्सन एब्सेंट रहेगा तो इट विल गो टू द मैनेजर डायरेक्टली, राइट? सो इन
ओके.
दिस केस अक्षय का मैनेजर जो भी है उनको जाएगा.
और मैनेजर भी एब्सेंट रहा तो.
वो कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. द पॉइंट ओवर हियर इज अगर अप्रूवर एब्सेंट है तो एटलीस्ट मैनेजर कैन एटलीस्ट अप्रूव, है ना? और मैनेजर भी
ओके.
एब्सेंट है So there is no other step in Salesforce that we can do to make this thing approved. That means this record will go on hold and we may lose the customer. Right? Yeah, that's a great question. But it won't happen like that. It can go all the way to one delegated approver, which is your manager. That's it. Uske beyond, they have to wait. अगर उसके beyond भी चाहिए तो we have to write code also. That's also possible.
Okay.
What other questions?
तो मतलब मैम ये जो अप्रूवल प्रोसेस के लिए, तो इसलिए अपन को अप्रूवल असाइन करने पड़ेगी एज अ सेल्स फोर्स एडमिन। हेलो।
Yes. Yeah. So this does the approval process. Now you guys can actually try a good project over here, okay, in the trailhead, which will give you all the hands-on. Okay. I'll just share the link. I prefer doing the projects. If you want, you can read also. That's fine. But I prefer the project because it will give you the hands-on, okay? This is what we did actually, but it is on the opportunity. Here they have done on quotes, okay? So you can try this one. If you're getting stuck somewhere, we'll connect. And of course, you can dig in more by going in and typing the approval. But this one you do for sure. If you do this, you will know yourself कि क्या हो रहा है, ठीक है? This is exactly what we did in our class today. But not on the same object, different object. Bus. Okay. So with that note, I did the approval process ka example and what is the purpose of approval process. So I need to, yeah, and you guys can do this and you will get a better idea about approval process. And then I would have validation rules and flows which will complete, and uske baad we'll have a brush up session. Okay. So Saturday and Sunday, you guys study properly on the topics, and Monday we'll have a brush up session of all the topics we have done in the admin. And I think one or two of you shared your resume with me and asked me to review. I've given that feedback, whatever is needed for the person. So if remaining, whoever have not done that, you can do. I'll try to guide you on the resume part. Once that is done, you can decide the next steps, like whether you want to go for development or you want to go for PA, or you want to just start applying for jobs for admin, like anything. Just be clear for the next steps, okay?
यस मैम, क्लोज एक लेक्चर में हो जाएगा
नहीं
क्योंकि वो
नहीं,
बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है,
lecture में
वास्ट
नहीं।
टॉपिक है वो तो।
आई मीन एक लेक्चर में हो जाएगा, लेकिन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन अगर आप लोग मतलब हाउ मच यू वांट टू गो एंड कीप प्रैक्टिसिंग, उसका एंड ही नहीं है, ठीक है? इट्स लाइक अनदर कोर्स, लाइक फ्लो का
या
इट्स लाइक एन अदर कोर्स, राइट? बट आपको कॉन्सेप्ट पता होना चाहिए जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इंटरव्यू, ओके? इंटरव्यू के लिए जो भी चाहिए क्रैक करने के लिए उतना काफी है, लेकिन उसके बाद यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस टू गेट द, like in the project if they give you something in the flow, yes, initially you may be stuck. मैं आज भी stuck हो जाती हूँ flows में, okay? I'm not very, because उसका the main disadvantage of flow is अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया ना flow में, we don't know कि कहाँ पे हो रहा है. एटलीस्ट कोड में हमको पता चलेगा कि इस लाइन में एरर है, राइट? लेकिन फ्लोज में हमको पता नहीं चलेगा कि वेयर इज द एरर. दैट इज द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम विथ फ्लोज, एंड दैट्स व्हाई कंपनी डोंट टेक पंगा, है ना, विथ फ्लोज. दे से कि अच्छा वील राइट अ ट्रिगर और वील राइट एपेक्स कोड, right? Because it can create a deadlock situation. So we should try, we should try to use flow jahan pe fit hoga requirement. Okay. So in this course also, I'll be doing the same. I will not go and, strain you guys too much on flows. What is required for you guys to know for the interview and for the basic admin, we will do that. You guys try to do from the trailhead the complex modules and see key, if you are getting stuck, and you can ping me, right? Like you can ping me on the group or individually and ask ki ye kya ho raha hai yahan pe and all that. We can discuss. But you're right, flow is not easy. It is complex. I'm not scaring you guys, but you have to know the fact that it is, even a developer with too much years of experience may not be able to crack the bug in the flow because of the limitation in the Salesforce. Okay, it is not our problem, it is Salesforce problem. They are not giving us a way to debug कि कहाँ पे error है. So it takes more time. ठीक है?
ओके.
Hmm.
तो मैम में डेवलपमेंट पार्ट में कवर होगा कि फ्लोस कि उसमें नहीं होगा? जैसे मैंने इसके बाद डेवलपमेंट की भी क्लासेस है, तो उसमें फ्लोज रहेगा था.
So development में you'll have flows, लेकिन not end to end. It's a part of development because a flow will be called from code, right? So how to call the flow in a code? That can be your development piece.
ओके.